The 5 things that are wrong with the cannabis industry in the US. This is just a rant that's coming right out of me because I just find this a bit uncomfortable. Number one is, like, we call cannabis green and natural, and it's all herbal, and it's gift of nature, it's gift of God, whereas I see that most of the cannabis is grown in conditions where it's not natural at all. There are lights, and the plants are kind of kept in such conditions which is kind of not natural at all, not normal. Because, like, keeping someone awake for many hours is like, it's more like putting the plants on methamphetamine trip for several months before they could go into normal cycles. So that is not normal when you grow them in artificial lights. It's not normal when you don't put them in soil and use all different methods of growing. Though it's very popular, the natural part of it, or how we argue, is not there. Second, there is this idea of the drug plant and the non-drug plant and the different strains, and everything is all over the place. Even the Farm Bill now has this mess about THCA and decarb testing, and all these things getting complicated. If you had kept it simple, that hemp is a seeded cannabis and non-seeded cannabis is more of a drug plant, it could have been much simpler, as it comes only from one species or strain or cultivar or genetic, or whatever you call it. It's cannabis sativa L, that is what it is called. And so that's where I see that a lot of confusion, because I see a lot of films, documentaries, where people are ready to harvest, but because they just lost their harvest window or something like that, they have to destroy all these beautiful plants that they have been growing, or everything that they have invested. This kind of crazy. It's never been like that until 1960s. There was nothing like the markers of 0.3. I don't know why arbitrary 0.3. In fact, it was being discussed in the United Nations during the rescheduling from the international convention from Schedule 4 to Schedule 3 as well. There was a recommendation around lowering from 0.3 to 0.2, but which was grossly rejected by most of the member countries, seeing the chances that the seeds could be controlled by that. So there are those issues. So I think the discussions around the hemp plant and drug plant is confusing newcomers and farmers, and it's getting more complicated. I don't remember talking about talking about at the molecular level when we talk about heroin, or when we talk about alcohol or tobacco. We don't say that it's methane 2 or ethanol, methanol 5C or something like that, whereas we have introduced this concept of going to the detail, to the molecular level when you are trying to explain your product. This is complicated, not sustainable, and kind of sounds fishy. Third thing that I'm quite upset to see here is that no one is talking about the pollution that the green cannabis industry is making. We have all these unnecessary ways of packaging the product and stuff like that, which kind of like is crazy when I see the plastic waste that we have been generating from all of these pre-rolled bags or individual the test tube kind of a thing that you use to keep the pre-rolls fresh and stuff like that, are all of maybe a recyclable food grade plastic, but still it's plastic. It's going to generate a lot of waste for a joint that we just smoke and finish away with that. There is no need to we could find better ways to make it greener. We talk about even the microbeads used in shampoos or face wash, to avoid that going through the stream to the ocean and then polluting the wildlife there and killing a lot of fish and things with this microbead. So when we are talking about using hemp seed as an alternative, or the hemp the outside cover of the hemp seed to play the role of the same role as the microbead does, At the same time, we're trying to make it so green. At the same time, we are using so much of waste stuff. Mainly these dispensable vape, dispensable cartridges and vape pens. Like there's batteries, stuff, everything spread everywhere. Kids are picking it up, thinking it's a pen, using things. So all of this shit that we have created is needs to be looked into, and no one is talking about it. I see a lot of podcasts going on, but everyone is, I don't know why they have to smoke during a podcast, and they're just smoking their bongs and stuff when they are talking. We don't see people when they are talking about other drugs or alcohol that they would start drinking when they are having this thing. You know. Anyways, that's another thing. The fourth thing that I find is the tolerance. You know, there is a huge tolerance build up in most of the people here because of the high concentration of THC in different extract formats. You know, cannabis buds are smoked to be in lesser tolerance for you to be more economical as well as better for your health and your wellness. That's why I call the medicinal cannabis. It should be used in a determined dose otherwise it's more like misuse. You know, it's more like overdosing yourself. It does not benefit your pocket. It does not benefit your health. And I don't know how that could be grossly ignored here, where people are so knowledgeable. Only the chances could be that people who want to sell their stuff do not want you to know about tolerance, you know, and how that builds up. Because if you have like a high tolerance, you're taking dabs that are 80% THC and stuff like that, you never enjoy any other joints, you know, that is like 20, 25, 30% when it comes to high, you know. So that needs to be looked at. And fifth, last but not the least, but most important, is the irony that everything, the green cannabis revolution is happening here around the world, and countries are having more liberal drug policies after this failed attempt for 50 years, after killing so many people, putting so many people incarcerated for so many years. And I think a lot of people here in the US don't know the actual position that the Chinese government hold when it comes to cannabis reform or legalization. You know, they're one of the strongest opponents of cannabis legalization. And the irony is that they are the ones who are supplying from the germination. We need a small seed germinating thing, like a bulb thing. From that, the lights, the grow tents, the equipments, packaging, everything is coming from the country that is benefiting the most from the cannabis legalization, whereas is one that is the most regressive in terms of drug policies, you know, the strongest opponent, you know. And then they have been able to bring together other smaller countries like Singapore, Taiwan, or other countries who could join them in the United Nations to not change this failed policy approach, you know. So it's an irony that we are feeding that government, we are feeding that system. So this is a rant, a call for action, my views of seeing how the cannabis industry is going wrong here in the US, just a very individual perspective. Maybe I'm wrong, and there may be a lot of things that I don't know that you can respond back to me, but I think that's how it is, you know, that's how I see. So I really call upon all the activists, all the industry players not to be very greedy about cannabis. Cannabis is a poor people's drug, you know, that has been like for hundreds of years. If you look back into the history of the ancient Eastern cultures, where traditions like in India or Nepal or other part of the world, Nepal is, by the way, where I come from, and you'd realize that this is a weed. It grows everywhere. It doesn't require a lot of effort and stuff like that. And trying to monetize it does not work. You know, it's just going to be like that. So let's not be greedy. Let's be like how weed smokers are. You know, they're carefree. They have a different perspective to the world. Let's not be greedy and try to protect, and let's be more sensitive to the to the environment. Let's be political, try to challenge this and create jobs here in the US by producing most of the things that we need for cannabis cultivation here in the US. Try to go out, use lesser energy, because I see that there is a lot of energy being used and which is not sustainable as well. So let's do this, guys, and I'm sorry if I have kind of differed from what you may have been thinking, but that's how I feel after seeing this amazing growth in the cannabis industry in the US and the rest of the world. Thank you.